This is Things You Might Not Have Heard, and I am Jay Cleveland Payne with the Q today. 8 stories, as always, for a Wednesday from the past day, the Tuesday, that were vetted as conversational by you, covering information, politics, events, and pop culture news in the Q today. Even though yesterday was Donald Trump's first or second batch of 100 days, we're talking about Mark Carney and his first day. Also, Karen Reed, Supreme Court ruling, and Beyoncé going Cowboy Carter, but maybe not as hard as we thought she was going to. The vetting process we'll explain in just a bit. I want to remind you of 3 things right now. Our website home, this is conversationproject.com. All you need to know about the Conversation Project is there, along with our link to our sponsor for the day, Blinkist. If you go to that link today, this is conversationproject.com/Blinkist. It's an affiliate link. We get a small commission back for a great deal on catching up on all the books you don't think you have time for. And email us as you feel the need to conversate with us. The word, not a real word, but we say it a lot, at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. As we said, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, and we have 8 stories for you today. No particular order in the way they're presented, just the best way to present them. We'll explain some context, some engagements, things as well. And towards the end of the show, we'll explain how we picked these stories specifically, because you actually pre-picked them. You deemed them as conversational. So we're using you as the gauge to go forward. Headline number 1 reads, Mark Carney wins Canadian election fueled by voter anger at Trump. A story we teased from yesterday that we wanted to talk about, and you guys wanted to as well. Mark Carney, the former central bank chief and political newcomer, has led Canada's Liberal Party to a 4th consecutive term in 2025 federal elections. The Liberals secured 169 seats, just shy of the 172 needed for a majority in the 343-seat House of Commons. This outcome marks a significant turnaround from the earlier polls that had Conservatives leading by 20 points just before Justin Trudeau had resigned in January, and of course, all hell broke loose with Donald Trump. And that was a central issue for the campaign. Everything escalated with the trade disputes and everything under Donald Trump, the President of the United States, who had tariffs on his mind and trying to annex Canada as a 51st state. With that backlash, somehow the Liberals gained a backbone. They fought back and were able to literally fight back from having around a 38% chance of winning the majority to getting the majority at it was for 2 days ago. Now, what does this mean going forward? The Liberal Party does not have the majority of the seats in Parliament, and Parliament has to have some sort of government. You have enough people to vote things in there. So what's going to happen is a coalition. They'll have to find some like-minded people, smaller parties that made a couple gains to get that majority so they can get things passed. Otherwise, it's a fight every single time to get something over it, because the 2 main parties are basically diametrically opposed to each other. Usually won't combine to a great vote before going forward. But a new life for the Liberal Party as Justin Trudeau has stepped down from his role as Prime Minister, giving it now to, well, we'll see who gets Prime Minister going forward. But the Liberal Party has won, and they will get a chance to mostly fight the fight against the evilness of the USA and Donald Trump and all that stuff. Moving on to another story that's Trump related, as it's actually Amazon, who the headline is a bit disturbing, or a bit this misleading, because the headlines were back and forth all day on this story. But the headline we posted and we actually put up here for this one of 3 headlines actually. Amazon refuses to list tariff fees on Hall after White House labels plan hostile. Now, this actual headline that's written from the Robot editor is a bit more updated, makes more sense than the headline that was put out there, so bear with me. But Amazon has actually denied plans to display tariffs-related costs on its main website, which they said was never going to happen, after a report suggested it would be highlighting how President Trump's tariffs impact product prices. White House criticized the plan, allegedly the move as a hostile political act. This led to an actual call from President Trump to Jeff Bezos to kind of fuss at him, basically saying he was pissed. Amazon clarified that while the discount platform Amazon Hall actually considered listing import charges on certain products, Hall works a lot like Shein and Temu, which raised its prices last week to deal with the tariffs. Amazon and Hall didn't actually get the actual approval for it, so they didn't do that. The main site, Amazon, was never going to do this per Jeff Bezos, but the Hall site, the sub-site for the cheaper goods, was going to do this, maybe, but didn't get full approval. The plan is controversial, and Punchbowl News reported on it to show tariff costs, how they went to products. Basically, Amazon was going to have the price of the good and then the tariff costs added to it to see what the new price would be. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt condemned the reported plan, questioning why Amazon didn't take similar action during previous administrations, i.e. when things went up during COVID, why didn't you do it then? So what we actually have here is two stunts. Bezos had a stunt, which would sort of show in his mind the people that buy from him what they get as a service. This is what you get. This is where the money comes from. This is where the tariff would add it, and this is why it costs this much more. Explaining it ahead of time for people to do that. That sounds like a fairly good idea, a good stunt, but it did piss off Donald Trump, as we said earlier, because it does highlight the fact that the costs are being put on the consumer. Because that's how tariffs work. When tariffs come in and things cost more for the folks bringing it in, they have to figure out a way to make it work. They're not going to sell any extra of it and make more money because it makes less money on the added costs. So they actually put the cost on the consumer who buys it that makes it go up. That's how the money is actually raised. Yes, we raise taxes, tariffs, whatever, that can go into our coffers, but it comes out of the pockets of the people buying the goods. That, President Trump, is how tariffs work. Again. So while Bezos is trying to play a little kind of trick on things, kind of gain a little exposure and gain a little love from the consumers to see why things cost so much and maybe they keep buying it, Donald Trump saw, truth being told and didn't like that happening very much. Interesting story for number 3. U.S. Navy loses $67 million fighter jet after it falls off an aircraft carrier. And that should be it. That pretty much explains it all. But happening on April 28th, on Monday, a U.S. Navy FA-18E Super Hornet, valued at about $67 million, fell into the Red Sea from an aircraft carrier on the U.S. Harry S. Truman. Now, the incident occurred while the jet was being towed into the hangar bay, so it wasn't locked down yet. Both the aircraft and the tow trailer went overboard. One sailor sustained a minor injury in the issue, but the carrier and its air wing remain operational. Now, how it happened, was the Truman was avoiding some evasive maneuvers while missile fire was coming from Houthi rebels from Yemen. A sharp turn in a aircraft carrier, because those things don't turn very well, turned to a nice little shift in the boat and made it shift so that the plane and its tow racket lost its footing and fell into the sea. This is the second Super Hornet that's been lost in the Truman in 6 months. One was mistakenly shot down by the USS Gettysburg. Navy has launched an investigation into this incident as long as the other one as well. Truman's been in the Middle East for about several months, conducting daily strikes against Houthi rebels, and the deployment has recently been extended by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, with the tensions being high in the region. Supreme Court has actually rejected Karen Reed's double jeopardy appeal, which seems interesting because they're in the middle of a second trial, but they still had a chance to see the case and go over it and decide, nope, keep it going. You still may be liable. Let's see what happens. The appeal on the double jeopardy grounds, allowing her retrial to proceed on all charges related to the 2022 death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. The decision follows the 2024 mistrial, where jurors were unable to reach an unanimous verdict, which is why we're here again. Reed's legal team contended that retrying her on charges of second-degree murder and leaving the scene on the accident would violate the Fifth Amendment's double jeopardy clause. They argued that the jurors in the first trial were unanimously agreed to acquit her on those charges, though no official verdict was recorded in court because of the mistrial on the one charge they couldn't figure out. The Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court previously rejected this argument, noting that absence of a formal verdict, which is why we're here again, and the U.S. Supreme Court refusal to hear the appeal effectively ends the line of defense. So that means Karen Reed's trial, which is going on right now, will continue going right now, won't be pulled out, and her safety, which was the mistrial the first time, is still not a safety because the trial's going on again. Essentially, all court cases, all of the charges being levied again going forward. Now, the big key incident we have right now, the new evidence coming through with forensic evidence about the iPhone from her boyfriend. The fact that they believe that the body was moved, but the iPhone didn't move, things like that. All sort of things going on in this issue. And because of the cover-up issue, saying that the body was moved by police officers who cover up the issue, but apparently his phone never moved, so it's hard to see how that cover-up turned into a thing. This one's still going on, so this one is still going on. Thank you for getting 4 stories in. 4 more stories, as promised, are coming, but we want to let you know that we are very appreciative of you here for Things You Might Have Heard and the Conversation Project in general. But we do ask you, this is the part where we do ask you to like, share, and subscribe to the video you're seeing here and other things you see in our feeds and attached to us. Not just because it helps the show, because it does help the show, but it helps us particularly grow as a smarter, more curious community. More people engaged in our story, more people watching this video and other videos we have in the day, more people engaged in our feeds to get the stories in, we'll talk about that in a bit, helps us and me grow this into a smarter platform with more people in the community. The algorithms are great and they do push things out stuff, but we really need people who are really engaged to tell us what stories are worthy of this. You real people and your real conversations help us pick these headlines, help us pick these stories, and have these discussions going forward for the dialogue, that is, things you might have heard. So it's very simple. Like the video you're watching here if you're enjoying the news and the commentary and the mix going forward. If you like it, I know I'm picking good stories. The algorithm will actually see it looks like it's good and will share it with more people. Share it with like-minded people so that they can get in on the action as well. And if you're not getting this native thing in your feeds, subscribe to help us build the community on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, all the places. The news is bigger than all of us, so we need more people involved so we can pick the right news headlines to talk about. We need you to help us by liking, sharing, subscribing to grow our News Nerd Nation. Wegovy's weight loss drug is now being offered at discounts on online vendors, including Hims, Ro, and LifeMD. Novo Nordisk has partnered with telehealth platforms Hims and Hers, Ro, and LifeMD to offer FDA-approved weight loss drugs such as Wegovy at reduced prices. This initiative also aims to improve access to individuals without insurance coverage. Through these collaborations, Wegovy is now available for $4.99 per month via Ro and LifeMD and $5.99 per month through Hims and Hers, which includes additional services like 24/7 clinical support and nutrition guidance, and of course, that discounted Viagra stuff. Now, the move is coming as the FDA has removed semaglutides, Wegovy's active ingredient, from its drug shortage list because it was so hard to get it. It raised the price. It made it hard to get into the places, and insurance was going crazy for paying for it. An increased availability of the medication means you can sell it in more places and sell it for cheaper because you don't have to have that background of actual supply. Compounded versions of semaglutide were offered at lower prices during the shortage at various places like this, but the regulatory changes have prompted the shift back to actually the branded products, the real thing. These partnerships are a growing trend of pharmaceutical companies collaborating with telehealth services to expand their reach and medications. This is not just for things like Wegovy or that generic Viagra that they sell, those little blue pills. This is for basically everything. Platforms like Hims and Hers, Ro, and LifeMD are what Novo Nordisk is looking to aim to provide more convenient, affordable options for seeking weight loss treatments. Essentially, if they get it in more products in more places, more people will buy it, and that will make up for whatever they can do to make the price a little lower. Break the price down, put it in more places, you can sell more of it. Consumers mean a development offering opportunities to access Wegovy at lower price at out-of-pocket costs if you don't have insurance coverage, and a better way to access these drugs in general. The weight loss landscape of drugs is going to evolve as time happens. Things that seem to work and not so much kill you as easily, although, like I say, I take Ozempic not for weight loss, for my diabetes, and it does have the stomach issues that do afflict me very often. There are those things, but having access to these things, which is the big deal, is what's going to make things go better in the future. I had a very bad transition in my head for this one because Hims and Hers is selling Wegovy. Going on to the story, it doesn't work as well as I thought it was going to, but I still had to mention it. So I'm going to use this in this quick intro, and then I'm going to do a pause so we can clip this for a long take longer later on because it just doesn't work as well. Actually works very well, but it doesn't work as well because we're talking Wegovy, not the fake Viagra. Jordan Hudson shares Belichick's email screenshot overlaid with Taylor Swift's song. Jordan Hudson is the 24-year-old girlfriend of North Carolina head coach Bill Belichick, who is 73 years old. And she has stirred some controversy by sharing a screenshot of an email from Belichick overlaid with Taylor Swift's song, Look What You Made Me Do. The post made on Hudson's Instagram account comes in the wake of the widely criticized CBS Sunday Morning interview promoting Belichick's new memoir, The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football. So, follow along for me. In the shared email, dated April 10th, Belichick expresses frustration over media focus on the candid admission in his book, stating, I effed up regarding past professional decisions. He criticizes the media's tendency to highlight negative aspects of his sensationalism of his life, noting that this is about what I expected from the media. Of 260 plus pages, this is what they would highlight. Belichick emphasizes his desire for the book to reflect his professional journey and leadership lessons rather than being reduced to a bathroom book that highlights my mistakes. That's a quote. Hudson's Instagram post featuring the email and Taylor Swift song was captioned, "Full statement to be released later today," suggesting that further commentary on the situation could be coming. The choice of song, known for its themes of revenge and empowerment, adds a layer of intrigue to the ongoing narrative. The CBS interview was marked by tension, with Hudson ultimately halting the questions about how the couple met, leading to a 30-minute delay in filming, which is also part of the "look at the made me do" part. Reports indicate that Hudson's involvement in Belichick's professional affairs extends beyond personal support, with her reportedly acting as a de facto agent and being listed as a chief operating officer of Belichick Productions. Not a bad gig for a 20-year-old girlfriend to a 70-year-old man. Public reaction has been mixed, with some expressing concern over Hudson's influence on Belichick's personal and professional life, while others defend her actions as protective of their privacy. As the situation unfolds, Hudson has hinted at releasing the comprehensive statement to address the mounting criticisms of and clarify her role in Belichick's endeavors. We could use some clarification right about now. The NBA is considering a new format to their All-Star games, maybe going international. The NBA is considering this with a change to the format coming in 2026, proposing the matchup between U.S.-born players and international stars. Idea follows negative feedback and fan reaction from the 3-game mini-tournament used in the 2025 thing, which was Team Charles, Team Shaq, Team Candace, and Team Kenny for a mini-tournament to make that thing happen, and it was a bit much. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, and the president of league operations, Brian Spurrell, have indicated that the discussions are underway. The association is trying to make things work out as best. Now, what's being popular in many other things? Well, it's two things. One, the popularity of seeing U.S. stars play against international stars in the Paris Olympics, because it was the last big show of seeing other stars across the world who are just as good as our main stars. And, of course, it's a big deal for hockey. The biggest deal in hockey is usually either a big matchup when one country versus another country, or literally the United States versus the world, or North America versus the world, those sort of formats there. And it works well for those types of things where most of the players are international and they get a chance to highlight their team, their play, their style of game, as opposed to the mixed up that's going on. Plus, as we know in All-Star games, specifically in the game that is for the American basketball players, it really is just a layup show, and there's not anything being played. But there's so many folks on an international roster that are the stars of the teams. Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and of course Victor Wembanyama. Butchering all four of those guys' names going for there. 30% of players being international means it's pretty easy to fund a team of international players, and with many of the top all-stars being those international guys, it shouldn't be hard to make an international team. This may not be seen as such a good thing, but the progress of Beyoncé and her Cowboy Carter tour is ready to go. It's ready to begin. The biggest thing is there are thousands of cheap seat tickets, thousands of the lower price tickets still available for purchase. It's going to kick off now. It kicked off, I guess it's kicked off April 28th at SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles. So with unexpectedly low ticket sales, despite the tour's high-profile launch and the recent Grammy win for Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter, thousands of seats were unsold before the opening shows. Tickets available were sold up to $800, were available for as low as $20 on secondary markets. Let that sink in. $800 tickets were on sale for $20 just to get them off the books for folks to get them out of the purchasing order. There are a lot of things going on there. Number one, there are critics to the country music album, so bringing in country fans to the gig is not working out as well. And of course, many people paid a lot of money for Beyonce's last thing, so there's issues there. There's also some some issues with some legal dealings that have wrapped up with Beyonce's husband and Sean Combs, which has some people kind of backing away from this one. They don't want to support Beyonce because they think they may be supporting Jay-Z, which is technically supporting Sean Combs going forward. There's a lot going in there. But the fact that the significant price drops of these these tickets as showing a not great showing for Cowboy Carter and for Beyonce in this thing. It's going to go across the U.S. and Europe, so they're going to keep going on and see how ticket sales go and see what evolve. Chances are it's not going to kill the actual tour, but it's not a good look for Beyonce in the woman who can basically do everything. In this case, she can't seem to sell tickets to her Cowboy Carter album tour as opposed to everything else. 8 stories down for the day. These are 8 stories that you deem conversational. You guys got into it and told us how to make them happen. We'll explain more about that going forward, about our feeds. You engage in the feeds and you tell us the stories that are worthy of chatting up. These are 3 stories that are out there right now for you to check out and engage in that maybe we'll talk about tomorrow. Number 1, Trump has used the government and his powers to target more than 100 perceived enemies. His 100 days have been seen with over 100 fights with enemies out there because he is Donald Trump. About 4,700 North Korean soldiers have been killed or wounded fighting for Russia, but we're getting this info not from Russia, and of course not from North Korea. They're all saying it's not happening. This is from South Korea. And Sheila, the runaway kangaroo, causes a car crash and shuts down an Alabama highway. Because Sheilas do that, whether they're kangaroos or Sheilas in Alabama. These are 3 stories of the 30 or so stories that you will see across the day part. If you want to get some of these stories involved, check them out. Engage in them as you can on Facebook and on X, and we'll see what stories make it into the headlines for tomorrow. We'll explain the full way how this works in just a bit. First, let's talk about today's headline sponsor, and it is the Blinkist app. If you're too busy to read all the books in your list, then Blinkist will help you take care of this in less time than you can even think. Key insights from booksellers of best-selling nonfiction books and comes to you in easy to digest 50-minute reads and audio summaries. They are called blinks. So instead of taking 3 hours, 4 hours, 15 hours, 17 hours, I'm reading right now the full version of a book I heard on Blinkist first, which was a biography, it's a biography of Douglas and Lincoln side by side as they ramp up to the war and get through the war, the Civil War, of course. I listened to it on Blinkist first, and it took about 35 minutes. The full version is 25 hours. There you go. So you can get the full gist of these things in 15 minutes or more or less based on what's going on. They cover psychology, productivity, business, health, personal growth. You've got them all. Read or listen to them on your commute, on your workout, making your way morning coffee. I listen to one in the morning on the way to work and one at night before I go to bed. I listen to 2 books a night. There you go. 55,000 titles, 5,500 titles, not 1,000, 5,500 titles and counting. That lets you explore more ideas in less time, and you can get these books to you. Now, use our link. This is theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. This is theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. It's an affiliate link. We get a small commission for you using this link to get in on the deal. But turn your spare minutes into big ideas pretty simply by using the Blinkist app, whether on your phone or online. Blinkist is a way to catch up on all those books you don't have time to read. Because guess what? They make it so you can read them in the time you have. The Conversation Project lives online at thisistheconversationproject.com. This is a way for you to be involved in news coverage. It's very simple. You tell us what news stories are important, and we do our best to make sure we're doing the ones that are there. No tricks, not just for clicks. You actually click it beforehand. We put out news headlines every 50 minutes or so onto our social media feeds, and you get a chance to engage in them, like them, love them, hate them, share them. And as you do that, we pick the ones that get the most engagement and give them to you in this form here, the ones that get the most conversational links, if you will. It's not from bots. It's not from media elites. It's not me watching Wolf Blitzer at 10 o'clock and saying, oh, I'm taking all these stories and running with them tomorrow. These are stories that are most engaged by you. And going deeper into that one, I want to remind you that you can do that by following us on X and Facebook. Facebook.com/thisistheconversationproject and X.com/th_conversation. Every 50 minutes or so, as I said, you'll see those articles, those links there. We ask you to engage in the ones that seem like they need to be engaged in. Read the headlines, so read the article so you know what the stories are. So it's maybe something that you've missed and you can see what's going on. Click on it if you like it. Click the emoji face on Facebook that replies to it, or the heart or that goes for X. Share it with other folks that you think might enjoy the story as well. Reply to it so we know what you think about it directly. The more you engage in the headline, the more engage in the story, the more engage in the post, the higher engagement score that post gets. On the next morning, around 3 in the morning, 3:30, we'll pull the numbers for the previous day plus those few hours. We'll look at the stories at the top half, and we will pick 8 from them for your Tuesday through Friday. For your Monday, we pick 10 stories out of 90 stories, so it gets really, really heavy. So those stories we teased are possibly there for you today. Also, any other story of the 30, so we'll get all day long. And that's how we get the stories that you'll see tomorrow in the broadcast. So it's up to you to find them stories, do what you want with them, and see if they're worthy of a shout. Today has been the Wednesday, April 30th edition of Things You Might Have Heard for 2025. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. Love you, mean it. Make sure you're sticking around for all the things we do, because it's important to know, it's very important to know that the news headlines can be confusing, can be misleading on purpose, and the information you're getting can be a bit off. So we look to you to tell us what stories are needing to be told, and we do our best to tell the best stories there. Love you, mean it. Let's do it again for a Thursday, which will be